Anybody can change your brake pads. Let me show you how it's done. First thing you do is you loosen your lug nuts, which I've already done. I've taken the useful tool here, loosen the lug nuts. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to lift up the car. So I've taken my jack and I'm going to put it right underneath the outside of the frame rail where you put your jack stand. So I'm going to lift up the car. Make sure you secure it on jack stands and use your parking brake. I even took some cinder blocks and put some cinder blocks underneath the back wheels to chuck it. Make sure that it doesn't roll backwards. Now it's time to take the wheel off. So we'll continue taking the lug nuts out and pull the wheel off. Alright, so for my 2003 Honda Civic, this is what I'm working on today. I've taken off both sides, both wheels, both tires, and I've secured both sides on jack stands, as you can see. Just make sure that you get it secured so it doesn't roll on you. The next thing to do is to get your tools together. So starting off, you will need a ratchet, a short extension, and then you'll need a 12 millimeter. You'll need a 12 millimeter and a 15 millimeter. Socket. I'm sorry, you'll need a 12 and a 17 millimeter socket. Just as you can see. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this 17 millimeter bolt off the caliper right here in the back. There's one on the top and on the bottom. Sometimes they're very, very hard to open, so you'll need to use a hammer. You can use a crowbar, just something that you might have to beat on that to get it open. I went ahead and turned the wheel to make it a little easier to get to. I'm going to try to show you these bolts. There's one there on top, and then one there on the bottom. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so we're going to take the 12 millimeter on top for the top and bottom caliper bolts, and we'll get those loosened. See this one down here? That's it. So as I was trying to loosen this top one here, I was getting some spinning, as you can see right here. This piece right here is spinning. So if that happens, take a monkey wrench, set it there, and then with both hands what you'll do is you'll start to loosen it, and then the bolt will come right out. As you can see, it's loosened up. And when you've got both bolts out, this caliper will slip right out. Just like that. Now you want to take this and you're going to want to hang it up here somewhere. You don't want to dangle it by the hose, because the hose will break. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to slide these out. You usually can do it with your hands. It's the old one. And we'll get the one out of the back too, just like that. Okay, so now I've got the new brake pads right here, and what I'm going to do, switching hands, is I'm going to take this pad, the one with the hanger right here, it's going to go in the back, and it's going to go in these grooves. You'll see a groove here, and then there's one on the top as well. It's going to go in the groove. Remember that you want to have the curve of the pad following the curve of the rotor. You just put it right in Really easy. Then you take one like this without the little hanger, and you put it, same thing, in the front. Now if you don't want squeal, you'll want to put some grease on it. You can get these little packages from the auto parts store. Just like that. And I put on some gloves too because it started getting dirty. So you'll take a little bit. This package should be enough for both sides. Put it on there. You want to put this on all moving parts, so we're going to put this on the screws as well. So you basically just do that, and I'm going to do the back. Now you want to take a clamp, well, just a regular old clamp, and we're going to compress the piston. Okay, so I've got the clamp in place. Then all you do is turn the clamp. You have one side of the clamp on the back side of the caliper, one inside the piston, and you just slowly crank it in. You can put a piece of flat, something right here, a piece of wood if you want. I've always found that it's easy to do this. Now I want to reiterate that I'm not a professional. This is something that I've done before, and I've got the tools, so I just keep the tools, and when I need to do something easy like this, I do it, and it's saving me, oh, probably $300. Well, it could on a full brake job at least. And when you have it compressed all the way in, you just undo the clamp. It takes a minute to get it inside there. But you just undo the clamp, then it should seat itself right on top of the new brake pads. Now you might want to have your rotors checked, because sometimes rotors do need to be replaced. But in my case, I went and had tires done, and they told me that I was okay. So now I'll just fit this back on. Okay, now that I've got you can see this, I've got it back on. I'm going to take the bolts, put a little grease on it, and then I'm going to go back into the hole right here so I can secure it. Now that I've got the bolts secure, I just want to make sure they're good and tight, that I've got a little play. These are meant to go in and out to be able to push the brake pads. Now I'm going to go take care of the passenger side, and it'll be time to bleed the brakes. Okay, now for the next part, this is very important. So we have, on each caliper, we have a place to bleed the brakes, which is right here. It's got a little rubber cap on it. You want to take that cap off, and as you can see, it has a nipple. I believe that this is a, excuse me, yep, this is a 10 millimeter. So we're going to have a 10 millimeter wrench. You can use an open-ended wrench, or like I've got there. Now, I went a long time ago and I purchased this. This is a one-man brake bleeder. I did go and get extra hose. It comes with a short hose, but you want a long piece of hose, and I'll tell you why. When you're a little bit later on in this process, you'll see that you'll need the long hose for the passenger side of the car. But you just basically take this, insert. It comes with a couple of different fittings, and this is the one that fits, that works well with mine. So just stick that in there, and then what we'll do is we'll loosen the nut. Not all the way, just barely. Just about, I don't know, quarter to half a turn, and you'll see the fluid start coming through. Make sure that's good and tight. Alright, so what we do is we'll get in the car, we'll pick up this one-man brake bleeder. We're actually going to, I probably should have done this prior. We're going to take the cap off. I think we had a little bit of leakage.